Good evening, dear students. Welcome to today's session. With you today, Ms. Wafa Hassoub, and today, inshallah, we will continue programming and artificial intelligence, an introduction to information and communication technology for first year of secondary school 2025-2026. And we will continue chapter 2, laws and rights in the information society. So be with me to know all the information, inshallah. Well, starting with personal information. Personal information. Well, what's personal information? So, any data or information related to a natural person who can be identified directly or indirectly by linking it with other data, we call this personal information. Need more clarification? Well, it's everything that belongs only to you, like your name, address, and birthday. So, the information that relates only to you, we call it personal information. Like your name, well, it's unique for you only. No one has the name of you. Of course, if he has your and your father, well, there is grandfather and grandfather and so on. Then we find that it's special for you, your name, your address, and your birthday, your parents. So all of these are personal information. For example, your name, address, date of birth, gender, phone number, and national ID number, your passport number, driving license, or any data that identifies psychological, health, economic identity. So any data of these, we call them personal information. Well, now we have special information. One, personal information, they are related only to you. What about special information? Well, it's like health or religion. They must be protected carefully. So, there are laws that say how companies and people must protect others' personal data. So, we have laws for anyone to follow. You can't do anything without following these rules. And also companies. There are rules and laws that organize how companies and people must protect others' personal data. And we have some things that we call four basic items. Four basic items. Well, what are they? Well, these are your name, address, date of birth, and gender. So these are four basic items. They are unique for you. They are important, essential. Your name, address, date of birth, and gender. Among the different types of personal information, these are the four important items that you need to know and memorize, of course, because without your name, I can call you. I can identify you among others. Without your address, I can't reach you. And date of birth, I can't know your age. And of course, your gender, I need to know what suits you, whether you are a boy or a girl. And there are many things that suits a boy and many things that suits a girl. So we need to know these four basic items. Well, we have personal identification codes. Personal identification codes. So what are personal identification codes? They are numbers such as those on passports, driver's license, or national IDs. So these are codes that you need and they are essential and very important for you. Personal identification codes. Well, what is it important? This personal identification code, like your passport, for example, your ID. Why is it important? Because it helps people know who you are, and we must protect it well. So your ID, your ID. So you need to protect it because we can know you through your ID. For example, well, take care. Posting your full name and address on social media, this is unsafe. This is not good, a bad behavior. You are prohibited to do such thing, so it's wrong. Using only your first name is safer. So stop bragging about your address, your photos, your everything. Do you remember geotags that we took before? So stop posting your full name or address or your photos on social media because it's unsafe for you. Look here. So these are the four basic elements that's important for you in your personal information, like your address, your birth date, and of course we have a phone number and many other information that identifies you, that tells you or tells us who you are. And one of the most important internet safety that you should understand that personal information should never be shared online. Now, dear students, we are gonna talk about special care required personal information. Long title, but it's easy to know. Special care required personal information. This is the information that requires careful handling to prevent prejudice and other disadvantages. For example, race, creed, social status, medical history, and criminal records. So these information are required for a careful handling. Of course, we want to prevent prejudice and other disadvantages and misuse from others. They must be protected carefully. Must be protected carefully. Remember, it's pretty important. For example, a driver's license number is personal information because it's a special number that's only for you, just like your student ID number at school. So only the traffic officer can see this license number from the drivers, but not for any normal person because he may take this number and misuse it. So be careful, please. Moving to act on the protection of personal information. So how can we protect our personal information? Well, act on the protection of personal information. It's a law that stipulates the proper handling of personal information. There are laws that say how companies and people must protect other personal data. This law is the official rule book for keeping your secrets safe. So the official rule book, okay, for keeping your secrets safe, it's a law that companies and peoples use to deal with your information. Now we have provision of personal information on third parties. So provision of personal information to third parties are the Act on the Protection of Personal Information states that one cannot provide the personal information of an individual to a third party without the individual's consent. So you can't tell my ID or my code or my personal number to others without my permission, without my agreement. And I can't share or take your personal information and post it to other people without your agreement. So this is provision of personal information to third parties. More clarification? Check the example with me. Imagine you give your address to a toy store so they can deliver a game to your house. So you bought a toy from a toy store and you give them your address so they can deliver a game to your house. And the rule in action, the rule that they should follow, the toy store is not allowed. They are not allowed to sell your address to a pizza company or a comic book club so they can send you ads. They can only do this if they call you and ask, hey, is it okay if we give your address to the pizza company? And you or your parents say, oh yes, that's okay. So that yes is called consent, agreement, okay? You're giving them the permission to do this. Well, companies can share your secrets with strangers unless you give them a thumb up. You know, thumb up? Okay. In the following cases, it's permissible to provide personal information without obtaining the individual's consent. So we are going to tell you now that there are cases they can publish or take your personal information without your agreement, without your consent or permission. Well, what are, when they can do this? So, first, when provision is based on laws and regulations, meaning sometimes there is an even bigger, more important rule that says they have to look. It's like a teacher having a rule that says if the fire alarm rings, everyone must leave their backpacks and go outside. You don't ask for permission. You just follow the bigger safety rule. So if we have a law or a regulation that forces us to take your personal information, then we will do it. For example, a police officer with a special paper from a judge, a warrant, needs to see information to solve a crime. So, if a police officer came to your house showing you a warrant and asking for your personal information, you have to give it to him because it's based on laws and regulation. If you don't follow, you may go to jail, to prison. So, as we said here in the example, a police officer with a special paper from a judge, a warrant, needs to see your information to solve a crime. The company has to show them because the law says so. So if there is a law or a regulation, we should follow and share the personal information, of course, to the people who want. What else? Well, number two, that your personal information can be shared without your permission when necessary for the protection of national security or public interest. Well, what does it mean? This is for keeping the whole country safe from very big dangers. Do you want an example? Well, if the government is trying to stop a group that is planning to hurt a lot of people, they might need to check information quickly to find them. So they can share the information, they can take it without the permission of these people because we want to protect the country from dangers. So this is necessary for the protection of national security or public interest. So with the rules or cases that we can share information without the consent of a person. And number three is when necessary for the protection of human life, body, or property. Meaning, this is the most important one. If someone's life is in immediate danger, the rules can be broken to help them. Meaning, with an example, if a person is in a car accident and is unconscious, the hospital might need their emergency contact information from their phone company right away to call their family. There is no time to ask for permission. We want to save his life. And same for you, dear students. If you fell on the ground and you fainted, you felt unconscious. Well, people around you, they want to save you. They want to call your parents, so they dig into your wallet and check, or mobile phone, of course, and check for numbers, and they can call your parents. We have a son here or a boy that he had an accident, and we want to save him. So, when necessary for the protection of human life, body, or property, we need to take your information without any consent or without any permission from you. And yet we have number four, when especially necessary for public health or the healthy development of children. Meaning, this is to protect everyone's health, especially kids, of course. For example, if a very dangerous and contagious disease is spreading, health officials might need to know who a sick person was near to warn them and stop the disease. This will help keep all children and families safe. And number five, from cases that we need to share information without your consent is when cooperating with national or local governments, etc. Protection of privacy and image rights. Well, sometimes, dear students, companies need to help the government with the important work that helps our community. And an example for it, The government is counting how many people live in the country to plan for new schools and hospitals. So we want to build new school in the town. Well, we need to know, well, we build it a bigger one or a small one? How many chairs do we need? How many classes? And this is all depends on the number of people. So we need to share their personal information. Got it? Hope you inshallah got it. Well, a company might be asked to help with that count by providing basic information, like how many people live in one town, because we want to build new schools or hospitals. Now, to a new topic, dear students, is protection of privacy and image rights. So, we want to protect our privacy and, of course, image rights. You can't take any images from anyone without their copyrights, of course. Starting with protection of personal information in corporations and organizations. So, how to protect personal information in corporations and organizations? This is we will in a second. Well, the law. We have a law here that's important for you. There is a special rule or a law that says adults and companies have to keep your special information safe and can give it to others without asking you or your parents first. So this is the code. This is the rule for you. Well, your rights. You have right to privacy, the right of an individual to protect personal information that the individual doesn't want others to know. Well, it means you have the right to keep secrets. You don't have to tell everyone everything about you. So this is right to privacy. You have to keep things for you without telling to other people. So this is privacy. And of course, we have image rights. Image rights. The right of an individual to prevent others from photographing or using their face or appearance without permission. So nobody's allowed to take your picture and share it with a whole school without asking you first. It's your face. So you have permission to show it to other people. If someone does it and shares your information without your consent, they may go to jail or pay a fine for it. So now we are gonna have publicity rights. Of course, we know publicity. This is public people. They are famous people. So publicity rights a right that protects the economic interests of celebrities and their likeness, among other things. So these rights are recognized not by law, but through court. So they can, okay, take you to jail or take you to court for violating their publicity rights. So publicity rights for famous people, a famous soccer player's face is on their own poster. A candy company can just put that player's face on their candy box without asking and paying them. For example, Mohamed Salah, he is a famous player, okay? And you created a company that sells tea or sells products. You can put Mohamed Salah's face on your products without his consent. without his agreement, okay? Because he had the right to sell his images, his face, and get paid in advance. For example, uploading a classmate's photo without asking breaks image rights. So this is prevented. This is not correct, not good. Asking permission before posting, this is good ethics, of course. Selling a t-shirt with a celebrity's face, well, this is not allowed. Continue, dear students, we have privacy policy. Privacy policy. Well, it's a policy that stipulates how companies and organizations manage personal information. It's a short document that tells people how a company collects, uses, and protects personal information. We call it privacy policy. Privacy policy. It helps you understand what data they take, why they take it, and how they keep it safe. And you need to read it. You see privacy policy when you download apps. So they ask to take yes or I see, I agree on privacy policy, but we need to read it. Don't take yes or agree without reading them, because they can ask your permission to collect your information, but you agree without knowing. And after that, you find your personal information published to the public. So they took your agreement. You can't, okay, put them into jail or Interpol. So you need to read carefully privacy policy. For example, when you use an app, it may ask you to read its privacy policy. It explains things like what information like your name or email they collect, how they use it, for example, to make the app work better, and how they protect it from being stolen. So before saying yes to the privacy policy, you need to read them carefully. So this is how to protect your personal information, okay? Of course, with a password, with anything, without stop posting your personal information or giving your information without your consent. Well, now we have Personal Data Protection Center license. Personal Data Protection Center license. Well, what is it? What is it? It's the license obtained by companies from the regulatory authorities. Personal Data Protection Center to ensure compliance with the law. So this is Personal Data Protection Center license. The license obtained by companies from the regulatory authority. These are Personal Data Protection Center. This is or to ensure compliance with the law. Meaning, some companies need a special license from the Personal Data Protection Center to show that they follow the rules about keeping people's data safe. Well, this license means the company respects privacy laws and uses the information carefully and legally. So sometimes companies ask before they use your personal information, and this is a good behavior to do. So they need to ask for personal data protection center license. They have to take the permission from them, from this place. Personal Data Protection Center. For example, if a website collects your address or ID number, it must have this license, okay, to prove it's trusted and protects your data properly. Well, number 3, prior approval system. What's a prior approval system? It's a method in which a provider doesn't collect user data or offer a service to a user unless prior consent is given. Well, what does this mean? It means in a prior approval system, a company must ask you first before collecting or using your personal information. So they have to ask you first. This is what we call prior approval system. You have to agree and say, I accept, before they can use it. For example, when you install a game and see a message that says, do you allow this app to use your location? Well, if you click allow, you are giving prior approval for them. So what's a prior approval? You say, I accept to something, and they can use it after you say, I agree. Now we have objection system. Objection system is a method in which a service provider continues to offer a service to the user until the user requests the provider to discontinue the service. For example, you asked for an offer from the network of your mobile phone to send you songs, send you information, and so on. And after a while, you don't want to see it anymore. So this is when we call or go to the objection system. So they say the requests of the user and they can discontinue the service itself or disconnect the service to you. In an objection system, the company keeps using your data until you tell them to stop. You must ask them directly if you don't want your information to be used anymore. For example, a website sends you a monthly email because you joined earlier. If you don't want to receive it, you can click unsubscribe. That's how you object. That's why we call it objection system. Objection system. So you object, you refuse for them to use your data. Well, now it's time for questions, dear students. Hope you enjoyed the information and do it with us. Answer the following question. Choose all the items from A to D that can be considered personal information as defined by the Act on the Protection of Personal Information. A. Email addresses. B. Fingerprints data. C. Deceased individuals. And D. Passport number. Which of these we consider it personal information? And the correct answer is gonna be personal information means the information concerning a living individual. Information about deceased individuals is not considered to be personal information. So, therefore, A, B, and D are correct. Email address is a personal information. Fingerprints data are personal or is personal information. Passport number is a personal information. So A, B, and D are correct. Question after that. And do it with us. The following statements, A to D, describe personal information and privacy. Mark O if the statement is appropriate and X if it's inappropriate. So, A, if everyone in a photo is your family member, you can upload group photos to social media without permission. Without permission. Is this correct? You will know. B, posting information such as the economic status or health status of a person on social media without his permission, thinking it might aid the investigation, is not a violation of the Act on the Protection of Personal Information. Is this O or X? We will know. And finally, C. Although driver's license number or a national ID number consists merely of a sequence of digits, it can be considered personal information because it allows for the identification of an individual when combined with other information. And the correct answer, of course, before we say the correct answer, we have D. It's acceptable to print a photo of your favorite celebrity on a t-shirt yourself and sell the t-shirt online without their consent. So the correct answer is gonna be, well, if everyone in a photo is your family member, you can upload group photos to social media without permission. This is wrong, of course. It's unacceptable. B, posting information such as the economic status or health status of a person on social media without his permission. This is, of course, wrong. It's a violation of the Act on the Protection of Personal Information. And C, although driver's license number or a national ID number consists merely of a sequence of digits, it can be considered personal information because it allows for identification of an individual when combined with other information. So this is a correct sentence. This is O. And finally, we have D. It's acceptable to print a photo of your favorite celebrity on a t-shirt yourself and sell the t-shirt online without their consent. This is wrong, of course, and unacceptable to do. Continue with the question. Do it with us. Well, the following statements, A to D, describe personal information and privacy. Mark O if the statement is appropriate and X if it's inappropriate. Starting with A. If everyone in a photo is your family member, you can upload group photos to social media without permission. Posting information such as the economic status or health status of a person on social media without his permission, thinking it might aid in investigation, is not a violation of the Act on the Protection of Personal Information. C. Although driver's license number or a national ID number consists merely of a sequence of digits, it can be considered personal information because it allows for the identification of an individual when combined with other information. And D, it's acceptable to print a photo of your favorite celebrity on a t-shirt yourself and sell the t-shirt online. So can you answer this on your own? We already give you the correct answer and we want to know if you memorize the correct answer. Well, that was the end for today's session, dear students. Hope you enjoyed it. Inshallah, we will see you next session. Goodbye.